What's going on, everybody? Lee Money here from Money's Crazy Mind. And I don't know about you guys, but I know that sometimes after my trash has been picked up, man, does my garbage can smell like, well, trash. Well, if you have the same problem that I'm having, then you can reach out to Fitz's Trash Bin Cleaning LLC. They offer trash can cleaning and pressure washing. Fitz's Trash Bin Cleaning is locally owned, eco-friendly trash can cleaning service in Northwest Ohio, serving North Ridgeville and the surrounding areas. You can reach Fitz's Trash Bin Cleaning LLC at 440-752-1533 or at their website, ftbcusa.com, or you can email Brandon at ftbcusa.com, or you can check them out on Facebook, FTBCUSA. And of course, if you mention Redline Radio while you book a service, you receive 10% off the first service. That's an awesome deal. And don't forget to reach out to Fitz's Trash Bin Cleaning Service LLC today. What's going on, everybody? Lee Money here, the host of Money's Crazy Mind and Steel City Renegades. And you know, Redline Radio LLC is proud to partner with Growing Wings Adult Services for the creation of our brand new state-of-the-art production studio. Growing Wings Adult Services has been assisting adults with disabilities in the Northeast Ohio area for the past 5 years. For more information on how Lisa and the team at Growing Wings can assist your family, you can contact Lisa at 234-334-7547 today. Again, that's 234-334-7547. What's going on, everybody? Lee Money here from the Steel City Renegades. And if you need auto parts, there's only one place that I know I go, and that's Detroit Auto Parts. Detroit Auto Parts is the official parts store of Red Line Radio LLC. They have two convenient locations on the east side. You can call 216-531-7373, or on the west side, call 216-398-7373. Mention Redline Radio and receive 10% off your purchase. So don't forget, if you need any parts for your vehicle today, reach out to Detroit Auto Parts, the official home and auto parts store of Redline Radio LLC.
What's going on, everybody? It is Tim Buck 2 from Tim Buck Tuesday. And you know, I really hate doing home improvement, but I love the way it looks. So what I do is I call Wiggins Construction and Home Improvement. They fix bathrooms, windows, kitchens, sliding doors, and much more. Give Will a call today at 440-731-7654 and tell him Redline sent you. He'll get your house looking right in no time.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of 4th and 15 with Mel and Smooth. I am Mel, and joining me as always is Ronnie, Big Smooth Hennigan. Smooth, what's up, man?
Not a whole lot, Mel, man. Just, excited for another day, another show. What about you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. We got some things off our chest the other day, just trying to live life the best as possible. While we got a moment, I'd like to say hi and thank you to our special producer for the day, Precious. Drove all the way from Akron. She's spared here, so if the feds is watching, don't take her down, please. All right, we got a short show today. Not a lot to talk about, but it is a lot to talk about if that makes any sense. And the first thing is the Deshaun Watson shit is finally over. It's finally over. Him in the league and basically Roger Goodell settled on 11 games, $5 million fine, which is the largest fine in NFL history. But here's my thing, and this is the part that pisses me off. Why the fuck did you hire this lady if you knew you were gonna overrule her or appeal her ruling? Why? Why not just do the shit yourself? Save the stress, because this was a stressful situation and it didn't have to be. And now you've turned this into a big ass clusterfuck to avoid the lawsuit you knew was going to come afterwards.
I agree with that too. I feel like it's a way to silence all of that. They probably knew that along with the lawsuits that could have come from, let's say, some of the women or whoever else involved, but then also even bigger cases like that involve the owners or folks that we've heard of, that are at that level that have violated the same rulings but haven't had to take as harsh of punishment.
Oh, they
I
knew
think
that.
that
They
came
knew
out
that was
too.
coming.
Yeah, for sure. Like they're trying to hide that too as well. And I feel like, to your point, you don't hire somebody for a job and then you just overrule it. At that point, it's just like, do what you got to do from up front, or try to put together some sort of rules or something from the beginning to be like, look, if it happens to be this is what you get, or something that kind of allows for each case to not be so, like, I guess, case by case basis, depending on who it is or the level of what's done. It's like, look, if you did it, you did it. If you can prove that, cool. If you can't, whatever. And then kind of go from there and just like set some rules that apply across the board, regardless of your position or
You would
all
think
that.
that. You would
Yeah.
think that. You honestly would, but clearly they don't. I'm not gonna say the league has it or doesn't have it, but Roger Goodell just doesn't get it. Like every decision he's made in the past has either been fucked up, funny, or just downright, man, what the fuck was you thinking?
Right.
And with this, you had the chance. It was sitting in front of your face. This was sitting in front of your face more than one of them strippers at a lap dance in the private rooms. You had the chance to clear it. All right, he cleared one grand jury. He cleared another grand jury. He cleared our investigation. He cleared Houston PD's investigation. The evidence don't even mount up enough to even come to a criminal case at the level of just city. It didn't come to any of that. So you knew this. You knew when Watt left. You knew when Clowney left. You knew when Hopkins left. Something about this was funny. And you chose not to take action and say, all right, what's really going on here? You chose to do what everybody else did and catch Watson because he said he wanted out. And even if he did do this, because we as people outside looking in cannot prove he did it or didn't do it. But what we can say is if he did it, the evidence don't match what these women are saying. Because the evidence shows they've been in contact with each other. They want each other, or they don't want nobody else getting in the way. They hope he sticks with them. Yeah, he got a happy ending or two. Okay, it's a massage parlor out in Warren over there by Mollenkopf Stadium. They got raided, and they was doing it every other weekend. So what's the difference between those masseuses and the masseuses Watson was seeing? And for the record, those watching, we don't condone whatever he did or didn't do. We're saying the evidence that was mounted against him did not match what these women were saying and what really went on. Because a couple of these women have actually admitted they wanted it and they initiated it or they went along with it. Not to mention, you signed a NDA. For those watching, an NDA is a non-disclosure agreement. That means when you sign that paper, you know what you signed up for. Shut the fuck up.
Basically. And the
I,
thing is, I think
I,
with drive,
I'm not being. It does come off funny, but at the same time, when you really think about that, that's what a non-disclosure agreement is. You sign those in the event of high-profile interviews with the president. If the president say something off the record, you can't use it against him. You sign non-disclosure agreements in whatever kind of case you're dealing with as a criminal.
mm-hmm.
You're not. If the press come up to you after the case is over or during trial or whatever, you're not allowed to say anything. So knowing this and knowing that Watson was so confident in whatever went on, he asked for a trial in the first deposition, which we still have, by the way. What did Roger Goodell not see that was sitting in front of him that he was just like, all right, I don't agree with Sue Robinson's ruling, so I'm gonna appeal and give him more time.
Yeah, man. Somebody was in his ear and presented something to him that probably could, mess with his own situation or his own position, and was like, yeah, you got to get him more than 6, man. Otherwise, we're gonna bring out A through Z on you. And you know how it is when you are in a position where it becomes more political, you're going to settle with whatever you got to do to cover yourself.
Of course.
So that's exactly what I feel like about that. My thing is too, like with this situation, the irony of it too is like, okay, you got the 11 games. The $5 million, I feel like, was more so a way of saying, okay, we're basically going to make you not only sit out, the 11 games, but we're also going to make you play for free this year, because he only had a little bit over $1 million that he's getting paid anyway. And I'm guaranteeing or probably thinking that those incentives that he probably was supposed to get probably made up the difference of that other 4. So I feel like they're trying to make him play for free this year for the 6 games that he is allowed to play or whatever. So it's pretty interesting. And then on top of that,
here's the problem with that. If you're Goodell and that's your thinking, it's totally flawed, because he got paid all of last year.
Yep.
So that money's not coming back. If anything, most of that money stays with him. $5 million is going to his fine, which is supposed to go to a charity of women's choice or whatever the case was.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's hurting for money. They paid him to sit out because they knew, they being the Houston Texans organization, they knew if he gets a microphone in front of him, he's gonna tell something. And I guarantee you it would have been detrimental to the Houston Texans organization.
Right. And then, okay, even going into that, because we saw that they were involved because they had to do some settling of their own on their end, So with that, I don't recall if they lost any draft picks or
nothing.
If anything else happened, because I felt like, if you are going to really lay out the justice like that, right? And let's say, you hit Watson with the 11 games, the $5 million, and it's going to look like that anyway because of his position as well. When you got a QB, man, they're going to bring the whole gamut against you anyway.
Correction,
but at the same time, I feel like, yeah, but I feel like, where's the penalty for them? Because they get to pay out whatever they get to pay out to the people who had to settle with or whatever on their end for involving themselves and also, creating those NDAs for him or whatever else. And they pretty much, were setting that all up. Now, granted, he's a grown person. He can do whatever he wants and back out and all of that too. He had that option. But at the same time, you created that environment as well too, and we made it okay. So where is your punishment too on your end as an organization?
And you know where that punishment is. It's not coming, man. We know this. The owners in sports are the most volatile, just downright maniacal people in the world of sports. And there is no way. Robert Kraft got caught with essentially hookers disguised as prostitutes.
Yep.
On camera. Precious, we're not making this up. You can look this up. The owner of the New England Patriots, Robert Kraft, got busted on camera with hookers disguised as fucking masseuses. And all of a sudden, before it goes to trial, the tapes disappear. Not only that, the LA Clippers owner was on tape being racist as hell. All he was forced to do was sell the team. So it's not like we're not saying anything that's not true. If you think about the world of sports, the most volatile, the most diabolical, the most evil people are the owners. Hell, the Cleveland Browns owner, Jimmy Haslam, was just busted like not too long ago. There was the Pilot J, Flying J, or some shit.
Oh yeah, all his gas, yeah.
All his gas stations busted. He's the owner of the Cleveland Browns. He's the owner of the Columbus Crew. Like, come on. You mad? Okay, throw this scenario out there.
Okay.
Even if Watson did have sex with these women, there was no coercion, which means they weren't forced. There was no abuse. There was no violence. And they signed a non-disclosure agreement. So that means whatever happens after the massage, you can't say anything about it. And you willingly, there was no gun in your head. You willingly signed it. Nobody thinks that's funny. Nobody thinks, hey, we ought to take a look at the other side of this at all.
Nope. It's just one of those things that sticks, man, because, you know, when it's related to something, unfortunately, when it's related to something that's sexual, you know, it's going to fall on one side every single time, the majority of the time. You know?
And I hate that it's like that, because the only reason I hate that it's like that is because what if it's a scenario next time when there's a player who's caught up in something and he really didn't do it? The evidence is there, and yet they side with the woman.
They still going to hit him for it. Same thing like in the workplace, you know, when people are like talking about, you know, harassment and all this other stuff. And let's say it's a situation where, you know, it was the woman that, you know, brought that on or kept like pushing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, the guy is the victim. First of all, I'll say, oh, guy is a victim. Ha, ha, ha. They'll laugh at it and they'll like make a big, big joke about it. How you going to let her do it and whatever else. And then, you know, she get a little slap on the wrist or whatever. And that's
He gets fired.
Right. But on the opposite end, right, he going to get fired or something's going to happen, man. It's one of those double standards, unfortunately.
Yeah. And that's, again, that doesn't apply to this situation, but what we're saying is if you're Roger Goodell, you should have took a real look at this yourself by being a piece of shit and think about the ramifications of what's coming behind this. Because again, let's not look at you know, things for what we want them to see. Let's look at reality. The Raiders are in Vegas now. What is Vegas known for?
Gambling.
And
prostitutes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Prostitution is legal in Las Vegas. So what
Mm.
happens to a Raiders player, a Golden Knights player, or dare I say, a basketball player who ends up down in Vegas because you know that's where the summer league is?
Mm-hmm.
So what happens to one of these players when they meet up with a girl at one of the brothels or on the strip and she lies or she fabricates what really happened? He says he's got it on camera because he recorded it, but they still side with the woman. What are you going to do as a commissioner then? And the evidence is pointing to say he's right. I'm not saying Watson was right in this scenario, but all the evidence wasn't matching the testimonies of these women. Again, I'm playing devil's advocate here because I got to look at both sides. I have to. As a journalist, Ronnie, you're a journalist. Precious, you're a woman. Got to look at both sides here. What happens in that scenario if he's innocent, but you don't do the due diligence to find out what really happened? Roger Goodell left it up to somebody else. She, because Sue Robinson's a very well respected judge in the New England area.
Mm-hmm.
She did her due diligence. A lot of the stuff she said, yes, it did sound contradictory, but here's the most important thing she said. Due to past rulings in cases such as this or worse, I have to go with what the punishment has been given and what the punishment is said I'm allowed to give by the rules.
Mm.
In so many words, that's what she said. Due to whatever Roger Goodell ruled back in the day when he first got this fucking job, up till now, I have to go with that. I don't have anything else to go on. So basically, she was smart enough to know, all right, excuse my French, these bitches ain't got a lot of evidence. The evidence is not matching the testimony. And then there was a surprise witness who happens to be one of the masseuse's sons that was going to tell the truth, but they shut him up. So obviously, y'all was really worried about what this could do to the Shield. The Shield being the league, NFL, and all the owners. Because truth be told, Roger Goodell does not work for the players. He works for the owners. That's why there's a commissioner. And that's why the NFLPA came about. See, goes a little bit deeper. This is how free agency started. Players got tired of being treated like shit. Let's go back there.
Mm-hmm.
Players got tired of being treated like shit, folks. That's why free agency started. Because right before the 1980s, if you signed a contract with the team, you were stuck with that team. The only way you left is if your contract ended and they really didn't want to bring you back or you didn't really want to come back.
Mm-hmm.
They knew back then owners were pieces of shit. Some of them anyway. So honestly, Ronnie, I really want to hear your thoughts on this because I really want to know what happens if there's another scenario like this and the player happens to be right. What do they do then?
Man, all hell gonna break loose. Because what's gonna happen is they're gonna hurry up after this current ruling. They're gonna probably try to figure out how to change a rule or to put something in place where there's like a mandatory minimum or something like that if they're smart about it. I don't think it's gonna happen, but that's what they should do. And then on top of that, they're gonna make it an example.
But here's the thing: you got to run that by the PA, though.
Yep, they got to run it by a PA, which that's where the standstill comes from. So it probably won't change. But then on top of that, they're also going to look at it from a perspective of business, which what they usually do first. They'll say, what's going to impact us the most, right? Where's our fan base? Who's our fan base? And if we lose some of that fan base, what impact do we have? So this ruling, when it had 6 games and now became 11 with 5 million, that was to save a particular set of fans from.
Well, here's the thing. Here. Precious, do you watch football at all on occasion?
Like only when it's exciting.
Okay.
There gotta be some excitement going on. I can't just.
I get that. So, as a woman, why are you watching football besides the excitement?
That would be. I'm athletic, I guess. When I was in school and stuff, I was on the basketball team. So
okay, so you was an athlete. Gotcha.
Yeah. So I would say I watch it strictly because, like I just said, it would have to be an exciting game going on. So I usually don't watch during like the preseason and all that shit.
Of course, no one does.
I get to watching once like it get to like November.
Oh, she wait till they really get
playoff race. Yeah.
When they playing for a purpose.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Because they play different.
The reason I'm asking this because you brought up a very important factor, Ronnie, which is it's trying to save a certain fan base. But if you look at the reality, a lot of that fan base ain't even watching football for the right reasons. How many female friends do you know or do you have that go to they man is playing, but they not there to cheer him on per se. They just like how he look in his uniform. I'm not saying you particularly, but I'm just saying that's what
I mean, I know that it's probably women
That's-
out there that watch it
yeah.
for that reason,
My
but
man looks so good in his pants. Oh my god.
yeah, I would say mostly women. If we watching football, either it's some that's just fans because they've been since they was a little girl, and then it's some that's watching it for the wrong reason because of the
Matter of fact,
how the man is or how he look or because he
it
got
was
money.
and how did I think about it? It was an episode of The Fresh Prince. Remember when Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv broke up, and Uncle Phil went to go get Aunt Viv back, and she was staying over was it Aunt Helen's house, and Aunt Helen watching the Bulls game because Michael Jordan looked good in them shorts.
Okay.
Yeah. So you want to save this fan base, not realizing a lot of this fan base, and I'm not saying this it's all of the fan base. Some of this fan base don't even watch football for the right reasons. But you don't even do diligence, not even your due diligence. You don't even do a service to your player because one, you don't believe what he's saying, even though the evidence is there. And two, you're more worried about what it does to the shield than it does to the actual player. So the players involved, you're sitting up there telling them, we don't give a fuck about you. Not realizing there are two other leagues popping up next year and one that's already just played this year. They're not even directly competing with you. But if you're looking for players next year, what are you going to do? Because the draft only takes what, 300 players? If that. So if your draft only takes 300 players, plus a supplemental draft, which takes another maybe 50 to 65, plus an expansion draft if you have an expansion team, which you don't plan to expand on for another 10 years, give or take. You talk about moving to Vegas, but you had to move the Raiders instead of building an expansion there. So you want to put another franchise somewhere, but the problem is these two other leagues are going to be taking the same players you're looking at. So if these players coming out in the future are looking at this Watson case and saying, well, shit, nigga, you don't give a fuck about me. The fuck I want to play for you. I want to play, but I don't want to get busted. And then I'm telling you the truth and you still don't believe it. I'm going somewhere else. The XFL sitting right there. I go play for the Rock. I don't give a fuck.
I feel it.
I go play at the USFL. The USFL has already announced they're going to be playing in their hometowns next year. And in an 8-team league, you don't really have too much to worry about during the spring.
That's true. Because I mean, regardless of money and all of that stuff, nobody wants to work for a shady employer.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like anytime somebody quits something or wants to do something else, the first thing that comes to mind is usually the person that employed you or who manages you or whatever else. Like that's always the biggest effect that has on people outside the money, outside the, coverages, whether it be for insurance, all that kind of stuff. The first thing that people usually quit is the manager or management, and in this case, it's the NFL, the owners, and to your point, how they're treating you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, do I want to get tied up in something that's going to end up costing me the money that I earned, that I put my body on the line for fines that I shouldn't be paying in the first place, on top of the additional taxes because I'm in a bracket that most people don't end up being in? You know what I'm saying?
And here's the thing about that. The league is the NFL right now is 70% black. So if you're a black player, what message is this sending to you? You're a black college football player. You play at the HBCUs, you play D1, D2, D3, FCS, whatever the fuck you want to call them. What message is Roger Goodell sending to you right now? I tell you, if I'm still playing, I tell you what message he's sending to me. And I'm giving Roger Goodell a cold kiss my ass. Now, with that, Here's the upside to this if you're a Browns fan. Payback is coming. And the payback is in the form of week 12. He'll be eligible to return week 11. They probably won't. But week 12, you go to Houston and you play the Texans. If you're Deshaun Watson, you already know you're trying to. I imagine you're going to try to stick it to the Texans.
Man, on top of that, y'all was cracking up because there was a bunch of memes and stuff being made about that and talking about how he gonna be trying to hit up his old spots and whatever else, or he gonna try to get in and see where the masseuses is at as soon as he get down there. I was like, the internet is stupid, man.
The internet is undefeated.
I'm gonna have to forward that to you, but yeah, bro, I was just sitting there like, wow, here we go with that, right? But I do agree to your point. I feel like they are gonna come out, blazing or whatever. He gonna look to probably, have one of them games we used to see beforehand with like 300-400 yards and 3 in the air, 2 on the ground type scenario. The guy that we know him to be, and it just silence everybody because we all know how this works. You get in some trouble. We've seen multiple players at a high level have that happen. And as soon as you start winning games, as soon as you start, performing the way that they want you to, or even exceeding that, all of a sudden that stuff just gets pushed to the back burner anyway.
Very true.
Prime example with Hunt. Hunt was on camera dogging that chick, got 8 games. That dude came back, ain't had an issue since. People love him again. God rest his soul. Kobe in his situation.
Yeah, we don't even know what really happened. The Kobe situation, definitely not a good look for Kobe, but we know it all wasn't Kobe.
Right. And it had nothing to do. And the thing is, it didn't do anything to his legacy. Not one thing. Not one thing. People are human, right? Stuff happens.
She was a skeezer. She wanted to start in 5. It happens.
Yeah.
We get it.
All day.
And I'm not saying that to discredit the girl. I'm not discrediting women. I'm not saying anything bad about it. But the truth is, nobody was in those rooms that night with the girl and the Lakers. All we see is the video camera evidence from Kareem Hunt, but we were not there. There's no audio. It's her word against his. In the Watson situation, it's 24 women against one guy. Who's lying? Because there's a lie in there somewhere.
For sure.
So
speaking of,
go ahead.
Now, speaking of, Cleveland real quick. So I know I was bringing up that conversation about like the center position. Yeah. And just like how important that is, man.
Just lost the center.
Yeah. So like you figure your starting center goes down in Nick Harris, right? And with him, he was pretty much being groomed for this. Like since he got drafted, they knew Notre was about to be on his way out. I know he had some issues like, injury-wise or whatever. So he's being groomed for this. This would have been his 3rd year in the offense. And it's like, okay, cool. You get your shot, right? He goes down for the year. Your backup comes in. He gets hurt in practice. He's out for the season. Now you got some 3rd-string guy who went with the team before trying to start. And I'm like, look, for those of you out here, right, the center is one of the most important positions on the field.
Second highest paid position in the league.
It's like one-on-ones where not only are they, obviously getting the ball to the quarterback, to the first ones to touch it, but if your handoff and your exchange is not clean, that's a potential fumble every play that you're out there. On top of that, if you don't know how to shotgun snap right, that's over the head. That's another issue. Also, if you can't call up the right audibles, tell the line how to block, that's a problem. Yeah, and it's your job to watch the front 7.
Right.
So if you can't bark out what the quarterback needs to do or how they should change a certain route or something like that, based on what you see the linebackers doing, cheating up, not cheating up, what they're looking at. If you can notice a stunt might be coming, depending on how a guy's leaning or whatever. So people do give it away still at that level. And you have to realize all of that before you even think to snap the ball on whatever count that the play is supposed to go for. There's a lot to think about in those like minutes.
It is. It is. It
It's
is.
so much happening. People don't realize that, right? They go, oh, it's another old lineman. No, I played it. I know. It is not. That is a hard position to do. That's a hard position to do. You know,
so,
and it's real pivotal to your run game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So to respond to that, I do think, and I agree with you, I do think this would be a time to bring back Tretter.
Yeah, like just for 1 year. And I get it.
Just call him. Just call. Hey, look, man. We sorry. Shit ain't working out like we thought it was. When you come back, you know, I know it sounds crazy, but we need you. Do something. Because when Watson comes back, and this is the crazy part about this. The Browns sported before everybody got hurt. They were going into this season with the number 1 offensive line in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that, folks. You ain't heard something like that come out of Cleveland in a long time. The Browns were slated on paper to come out with the number 1 offensive line. You lose 2 centers. This would be the perfect time to bring one back who actually stood he held up. Yeah, he got hurt. He missed a couple games. But for the time he was here, he saved Chubb. He saved Hunt. He tried to save Baker, even though Baker was stupid. Whatever. He was still good enough to be serviceable and get the job done. You make that call. I don't care if you're Andrew Berry. I don't care if you're Jimmy fucking Haslam. Hell, I'll even go as far as Stefanski. You make the fucking call because that your season, possibly your job, is riding on this.
Yep, exactly.
Riding on this, not because the team went to the playoffs 1 year, then you suck the next year. It's because you don't know how long this team's going to be together. Money changes everything in the world of sports.
Absolutely. And it sucks right now too, man, because with that situation, and it's something that Batonio has said too as well. He was like, I feel as though maybe he's not being signed by another team because they're possibly blackballing him for his stance on player safety in the time frame that he served with the NFLPA as president and everything. And it's like he should stand up and say those things. He should advocate for the players because what his job was to do as part of the NFLPA's presidency.
That's why you fucking elected him.
Right. You know what I'm saying? That's why you let him serve for as long as you did too as well. And you figure for him to be, a veteran of his, stature, 10 years in, he spent 4 years with Green Bay, I think, before he came to Cleveland, another 5 years there, whatever. And my thing is like, the dude has pull. Players will get behind him. You know what I'm saying?
Not only will they get behind him, they believe in him.
Right.
You don't just get elected to PA president to look good. You get elected PA president to make shit happen for your fellow. I don't give a fuck if you hated motherfucking Brett Favre. If Brett Favre was president and he was saying, hey man, we need a little bit more pay in this CBA, you get behind that because it's true. Need a little bit more. Not a lot. Like if you think about all the money the NFL brings in, it's being stretched between all the owners, whatever stadiums you don't own because you got a lease with the city, and then the players get what's left over. Individual jersey sales that go to the player, football cards and shit that go to the player. That ain't a lot, man. It's really not a lot. Not compared to what the owners are making.
True.
Ticket sales, fucking concessions if you own the place. In the case of Jerry World down in Dallas and Arthur Blank down in Atlanta. You own that. So all of that's coming to you.
Yeah.
And those are two of the most powerful owners in the league. So when you get elected PA president, you're not going up against Roger Goodell. You're going up against Jerry Jones and fucking Arthur Blank. And then I say Robert Kraft. That's who you going up against. You're not going up against Goodell. Goodell's a fucking stand-in. He's the dummy. But
I wouldn't want no parts.
man, but I'm wholeheartedly with you on that. I agree. You make the call to Treader. Treader makes that offensive line that much better, to my opinion. Chubb has a relationship with him. Hunt has a relationship with him. You give Watson and Jacoby Brissett a chance to get to know him, build a relationship, get chemistry with him. If I'm Stefanski, fuck with Andrew Berry talking. I'm making the call.
I feel it, man. And then there's a guy that's familiar with the offense. You know what I mean?
He come right in, you plug him in.
Yeah.
Literally, you
And he
plug him
played
in.
with this offense the last, couple years that Stefanski was here. Like, it just makes the most sense, man. It
You
makes
would
the
think.
most sense. You would think, yeah, you would think it would.
While
But
we on the subject of football, now that I think about it, high school season kicked off this weekend. Glenville went down to St. V, tore them a new asshole, end up winning 25-0. A lot of expectations going into this year for everybody. I didn't get a chance to look at the top 25, but I did notice the top 10. I did see Moeller went down to Massillon and got a win. But what are your expectations for seeing how high school football is going to look this year after, 2 years after COVID?
I think there's a couple of things. I think that first of all, I feel like players may appreciate it a little bit more than they have before. I think that when you limit games or you have all these regulations and whatever else that have happened the past couple of seasons, that kind of puts a cap on, what you can do or how you can play, different interactions that you've had. And now it's like back to normal, for most folks. So I feel like that's part of it. I think that also with, our state getting behind the whole NIL thing, maybe that's a little bit different. I haven't seen any like real results of it though, or any kind of like commercials or anything local like dealership type stuff happening for the kids, But I do feel as though there's a big draw there as well, and just how things go, man. Like the draw of social media and all these different exposures that weren't there before. How we were all trying to just scrounge for game tape,
Right.
and now cats out here with the live, IG stream and just throw it up and be like, bam, here goes so and so, taking one to the house or whatever, and that getting noticed and tagging multiple parties and whatever else, And I feel like the players, man, just gonna go out there and ball out. I think that they may be playing at a higher level as well too. The game has just changed so much. They're trying to look so much more like what the next level is, and I feel like this is how it's going to be. We've seen the NFL, change a lot over the years and mimic more so what we see at the collegiate level, and then same thing with the high school level as well, trying to mimic more what they see at the next level up. To kind of make it easier for those transitions to happen between each level of football. So I'm expecting a lot out of it, man. I feel like the games will be more exciting for sure. I don't think anybody will be too rusty or whatever. And I think there'll be a lot more excitement behind it.
Yeah, a couple scores we got from yesterday. There was Winton Woods, defending state champ, 39-16 over TMHS. Mayfield got the win over Shaw, 50-20. Who was that? Shit, I ain't even heard of most of these. Like I said earlier, Glenville got Thursday's win over St. Vincent St. Mary, 25-0. Columbia gets the win over Independence at 56-7. And just one more just off the. Oh, Dakota West got the win over St. Xavier, 16-13.
Ooh.
So, and McKinley went up to Menor, tried as they might, but they ended up falling to Menor. So we had an exciting opening Friday night. I'm excited. I'm can't wait to see for the rest of the season. I want some parity this year.
Mhm.
I want to see a public school in the state playoffs do well, possibly get a state championship, because private schools have been it's too much of a stranglehold.
Yeah.
But we all know the rules are different. But it would be nice to see, it would be nice to see a public school get in and get a state championship, or at least play for one, because that really means a lot. For those that don't know, especially in Cleveland, there's never been a Cleveland public school to win a state championship, so that would be big.
True.
All right, and from the football field, we move to the diamond. And last night, the Cleveland baseball team, formerly known as the Indians, came from behind, got the win over the Chicago White Sox 5-2. Tristan McKenzie went off. He lost his goddamn mind in this game. He struck out a career high 14 batters and got the win. We had talked about McKenzie a couple weeks back, or a couple months back, actually. And I had said, if you're Terry Francona, don't send him back down to Columbus. Let him figure it out. You keep him in the rotation and start him every time it's his turn, he starts. Last night, I think it clicked. I honestly think it clicked. He struck out 14 batters. He's in his early 20s. That's why I wasn't amazed that he did it. I was happy, but at the same time, I was like, this is why I said you keep him in. Because when he's on, he is scary. It reminds you of Randy Johnson. It reminds you of Roger Clemens. He's not them, but the fact that he only gave up 2 runs and he struck out 14. That is like, if you're a baseball fan and you look at that statistic alone,
Mm-hmm.
that shows you what kind of pitching staff you really have in your system. If you let these kids figure it out. I think last night he figured it out. I think the next time he's up, it's going to be a problem for whoever he pitching against. And with that win, the Guardians are now a full game up over Minnesota. Both teams have the same amount of losses, but Cleveland has 2 more wins. Do they hold on to this division with a month and some change left, or is this just the part where it looked good, but they about to fizz out?
I think that in this scenario, especially after that performance yesterday, you figure because the White Sox are 3.5 games behind.
Yeah.
So they're still in the thick of it. But at the same time, if you're knocking them off and keeping them down, and then, depending on how Minnesota does, I feel like, Cleveland has a good chance to still come out on top in this division. I couldn't say the same thing about that beginning of the year. It was really unpredictable with all the moves that we saw in the offseason and all the different trades and, the younger players coming in. Kind of the result of how we talked about last week with just the way the farm system has been working over the years anyway. It's kind of unpredictable. But, the way they're doing it now and it being this part of the season or whatever, you definitely kind of have it figured out. And I feel like with them being, 1 game away from completing 120 games, right, there's not a whole lot of baseball left. And you're at a point where, okay, if we maintain this situation where we're winning at least 7 games out of 10, we definitely have a shot. So if they keep that up and the bullpen is working the way that it is, and we say that McKenzie has finally, figured it out and turned that corner, and having him along with Bieber and some others to kind of keep that going, I think they'll be just fine.
Now I'm glad you said that, because keep in mind, looking at the schedule, you see the White Sox one more time in September. So that's mid-September. You got a 3-game series.
Nice.
You knock them off now in this series, and then the series you see them in mid-September, it's gonna be big.
Mm-hmm.
Because literally outside of let's look at reality. You already dog walk the Tigers. Yeah, you split the 4-game series, but overall you took the season series.
Mm-hmm.
So you took the season series from Detroit. You don't see them no more. So you don't have them to beat up on. You got the Rangers, you got the Rays the rest of this month, and then the Royals. Rest of this not the rest of this month. You have 2 more with the Guardians today and tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
You got the Padres for a 2-game split. Then you got the Mariners. And then after that, you got the Orioles. Then in September, you see the Mariners again, you see the Orioles again. Mid-September, you got Kansas City and the Twins. The Twins are the only real threat to you not holding on to the division.
And they played them a lot.
Yeah, you see them more than you see everybody else for the rest of the season. You got the Angels coming up after that, and then you see the White Sox again for your 3-game split. If you take control of this series now, and you hold on, at least get up 3 games in the division, you should be able to run away with this. At least that's my thinking.
No, you're right. Because you figure, okay, first of all, and let's break it down even further. It'll be nice to see Cleveland get the sweep at home, right, against the White Sox, the current series. Then in September, you have 8 games, 8 against the Twins. 8. That's a lot for 1 month.
Man,
I'm like,
you going up the bat. Shit.
Yeah, like who did that? I don't think I've seen that ever. So I'm like, okay.
You know why that happened? That happened because the fucking owners in the lockout bullshit.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. Yep.
So now everything's compressed. You had all these fucking double headers, and you
8
know
games.
Yeah, but
same team in
1 month. That's half if you're a player, that's half your month right there.
That sucks. Because they figured now with a team that is right there only a game behind, that's your bread and butter, that series, right? You have to,
both of them.
If not split that one, you got to take the majority and
you
win 5 of them.
You got to, out of 8 games, you got to take at least 5.
Yeah, you have to. And then you see Chicago in Chicago or whatever.
Ain't easy. Ain't an easy place to play.
It's not. It is not, right? So you got that. And then you're hopeful that you can just go ahead and, knock Kansas City out, sweep them too. So there's a lot of, ability to get some ground, but also to knock down the ones that's chasing you. And a lot can happen in those 11, 12 games. Here's my thing, though. We see that type of interaction between Cleveland and the Twins, right? I didn't have a chance to look at the schedules for Chicago and for Kansas City, only to see how much they interact as well, or how much those teams play the Twins as well.
The rest of the month for Chicago, got the Guardians today and tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Got a 1-gamer with the White Sox. A 3-game split on between the 23rd and the 25th with Baltimore. Arizona comes to town. You got a 3-game set with them, and then end of the month, you got a 2 games split, or 2 games at the end of the month. You got 1 more with Kansas City at the first. So basically, you got a 3-game set with Kansas City. Then you got 2 games at the beginning of the month after the first you got 3 games. Excuse me, these damn ads on the ESPN app. You got a 3-game set with the Twins, and you see the Mariners. You see the Athletics for a 4-game set. You got Colorado. You get Detroit, which is a cupcake. And then you come back to the Indians. I'm not saying that G word. And then after the Indians leave, you go back, get a set with the Tigers. And then after that, you got the Twins, the Padres, and October, you finish it off with the Padres and the Twins.
Man, it sounds rough, man. Because my thing is with the Mariners being in the mix right now and trying to
they on Houston's ass.
Oh yeah, they right on it. And the thing is, I get it, they're a little bit behind right now, but Houston just has a lot of wins, kind of similar to how the Dodgers are playing. But at the same time,
here's the thing. Here's the thing with when you bring up Houston. You
Mhm.
got to remember, yes, the Indians have the best farm system in all of Major League Baseball,
True.
but the fucking Astros have the best cheaters and the best pitching staff in all of Major League Baseball.
Man.
These motherfuckers got niggas in the stands stealing signs. Just to you got motherfuckers banging on a trash can when certain things is going on.
Mhm.
Then you got Justin Verlander. How do you compete with that?
And you know, it's crazy because ever since they moved over to the American League, man, it's just been lights out. Like season after season, they're in the thick of it. They're hitting the playoffs. They're almost all the way to the World Series, in the World Series. And you're just like, dang, man, y'all always there now.
But
And
here's
they're
the
just
thing.
slapping their division around, man.
It was a great move. It was
It
a great.
was.
You know why it was a great move? You got too many threats in the National League.
That's true.
You have way too many threats. You got the at times you got the Cubs, you got the Mets,
Mhm.
you got Atlanta, you got Philly. There to a degree, you got Washington. Then in the West, you got the Dodgers, the Padres, Arizona. Who do you have in the American League that you got to worry about? It's only one team. Everybody say it with me: the Yankees,
The Yankees, yeah.
because you can't outbid them for players. It's
And you
too
know
much
crazy?
money.
And the reason why I brought Seattle up is because this is a 66 win team that's not even at the top of the division. They
And
are a good team.
it's only because fucking Houston's there.
They're in Houston, right?
If
They
Houston
are a
don't
good
make that
team.
move, if Houston don't make that move, we are not. Griffey's probably still playing.
Man,
If not for DH reasons, he's probably just throwing his hat up. Hey y'all, how y'all doing?
right.
But this was a very smart move for Houston, and I'm not saying they should be glad they made it, but it was to their advantage because
Mhm.
you got to compete with way too many teams in the National League, and half of those teams have just as much or if not more pitching than you do. Pitching is a weapon in the National League. You cannot depend on Verlander on the batting side when he sees at the time when he sees somebody like Schwarber
Mhm.
for the Cubs when he was there. You can't depend on, and I think that's the advantage the National League has over the American League. You got pitchers that you can't rely on offense. And when you get to the American League, you have the DH is universal in both leagues now, but the problem with that is 20 years too late.
Yeah.
At least you're 20
Yeah.
years too late. The reason I'm saying that is because for 20 years that I can remember, the DH was a pivotal part of offense in the American League.
Mhm.
You could play with that so many ways. You could organize your lineup, your batting order to where you had a mini murderer's row. If they go back to the 97 squad for the Indians, Eddie Murray, Jim Thome, Manny Ramirez, Matt Williams to a degree, Carlos Baerga, you had to literally pitch your way around guys that could have played DH at any point.
Yep. Any point.
Any point. That's a big ass advantage. Now, you wonder why a lot of American League teams were losing these interleague play games is because you can't depend on Shane Bieber to bat. He's not a batter.
Nope. You
Now
can't.
you making the universal DH. Yeah, bro, you 20 years too late. The advantage the real advantage is still with the American League because they have the DH. But now it's not always even, but you're giving these National League teams a chance. Not that you really need it, because your pitching is tops. Your pitching is tops. But at the same time, looking at the schedules, looking at how, you have to use your pitching staff strategically more now, this is a big ass advantage for the National League. And speaking of the National League, looking at the standings, the Mets are atop the East, followed by Atlanta, and then it's everybody else. St. Louis is taking over the Central by 4 games over Milwaukee and Chicago. And then the Dodgers clearly have ran away with this division.
Man,
you're not catching them.
That's in. They in. They in.
He said they in.
They in. That's it.
But it's literally too many. That's where we go back to the move that Houston made to leave the National League. How do you compete with teams you can't outbid? You cannot outbid LA and New York, either side. You got the Mets, and then you got the Yankees. You can't outbid them, so you gotta do something. This move was smart. Yeah, they made it like 10, 15 years ago, but still, this move was smart.
No, I agree.
Man, Yankees running away with the East. Houston's, if it's literally for their pitching, it's not because they bat good. You're 10.5 up on Seattle. Literally, if Seattle had the pitching that you had, you'd probably be in the neck and neck race in the West.
Oh, for sure, hands down. That's a guarantee.
Man. All right, when we come back after the break, we're going to talk some MMA and a couple other things that we got on the agenda. So we'll go to these commercials, pay some bills, and we'll be back.
What's going on, everybody? Lee Money here from Money's Crazy Mind. And I don't know about you guys, but I know that sometimes after my trash has been picked up, man, does my garbage can smell like, well, trash. Well, if you have the same problem that I'm having, then you can reach out to Fitz's Trash Bin Cleaning LLC. They offer trash can cleaning and pressure washing. Fitz's Trash Bin Cleaning is locally owned, eco-friendly trash can cleaning service in Northwest Ohio, serving North Ridgeville and the surrounding areas. You can reach Fitz's Trash Bin Cleaning LLC at 440-752-1533 or at their website, ftbcusa.com, or you can email Brandon at ftbcusa.com, or you can check them out on Facebook, FTBCUSA. And of course, if you mention Redline Radio while you book a service, you receive 10% off the first service. That's an awesome deal. And don't forget to reach out to Fitz's Trash Bin Cleaning Service LLC today. What's going on, everybody? Lee Money here from the Steel City Renegades. And if you need auto parts, there's only one place that I know I go, and that's Detroit Auto Parts. Detroit Auto Parts is the official parts store of Red Line Radio LLC. They have 2 convenient locations on the east side. You can call 216-531-7373, or on the west side, call 216-398-7373. Mention Redline Radio and receive 10% off your purchase. So don't forget, if you need any parts for your vehicle today, reach out to Detroit Auto Parts, the official home and auto parts store of Redline Radio LLC.
What is up, Redline Radio Nation? This is Dynamite Dave here, your host of The Scoop on Friday nights, and we got a new start time that I got to tell you about. 6 to...
Yo, Dave, I really appreciate you letting me do my thing over here at Redline Radio LLC.
Tim, ain't no thing but a chicken wing.
Hey, well, you know I love them chicken wings. I got a couple buddies that's trying to come on and do a podcast. You got anything for them?
Heck yeah, we do. Just have them give me a call.
Bet. I'll have them call 440-503-0828.
Tim, don't forget to tell them that we're available on all social media platforms.
And you can't forget about the Redline Radio LLC app on the Google Play Store.
Damn, how'd I forget about that?
You was probably thinking about them little people again.
Damn, I probably was.
That's cool. They just trying to be a part of the winningest radio station in Cleveland.
And we got the hardware to prove it.
What's going on, everybody? Lee Money here, the host of Money's Crazy Mind and Steel City Renegades. And, Redline Radio LLC is proud to partner with Growing Wings Adult Services for the creation of our brand new state-of-the-art production studio. Growing Wings Adult Services has been assisting adults with disabilities in the Northeast Ohio area for the past 5 years. For more information on how Lisa and the team at Growing Wings can assist your family, you can contact Lisa at 234-334-7547 today. Again, that's 234-334-7547.
What's going on, everybody? It is Timbuk2 from Timbuk Tuesday. And I really hate doing home improvement, but I love the way it looks. So what I do is I call Wiggins Construction and Home Improvement. They fix bathrooms, windows, kitchens, sliding doors, and much more. Give Will a call today at 440-731-7654 and tell him Redline sent you. He'll get your house looking right in no time.
All right, and we're back. You did say we're gonna talk some MMA. So tonight, Usman versus Edwards 2. Now, Smooth, I know you a big MMA fan. I want to hear your take on this. I believe Usman won the first one. This is for the belt, if I'm reading this correctly. What are your thoughts going into this fight?
I feel like, Usman being the humble person that he is, agreeing to, the second fight, I think he'll actually come in being a little bit more prepared than he was previously.
Edwards is out for blood.
And I feel like Edwards is going to definitely come out, real hype, looking to take it to him. But I think the issue with that too is in this game, you got to make sure you don't have too much feeling into it and come out too angry or too, hype, because that can kind of slow you down or make you make some mental mistakes. So I feel like this time around it will be a little bit more exciting, but I'm going to go out there and say that it doesn't go past the third round. I think Usman takes it by way of submission.
Now, here's the thing with this. Usman has a couple of advantages. One of them being his reach. He's got a 2-inch reach over Edwards.
True.
And a fight, if you are a fight person, that's big because the reach is everything. That's how you gauge how to keep somebody at bay with a jab or how to come in with a right, or whatever the case is. I think Edwards has the advantage in submissions, but you got to get close to Usman, and Usman don't let you get close. We've seen his fights. You gotta strategically think about how you're going to attack him. My thing with this is Edwards has the height advantage, but Usman has the reach. Usman is also a switch stance fighter, which is difficult. If you're only in Edwards' case, if you're a southpaw, which is basically left-handed, you got a problem because he switches stances often. He'll come out in the first fight or the first round right-handed. He'll switch to southpaw midway through the first round or midway through the fight, whatever the case is. How do you defend that? Because now you got to think about what's coming first. And that's a big advantage that Usman has. Not a lot of people have had an answer for, which is why he's the champ. So I'm giving this to Usman, but I'll also say if Edwards can get close and get a couple takedowns, this might go in his favor. But he has to get close enough to effectively get a good takedown and possibly win the battle on the ground.
And you know what? I think that's where that preparation and, the game plan kind of switches up and how his camp might prepare for this too. Because, of course, with guys like that, you figure you're going to want to work the hardest on trying to work on your takedown defense.
Mm-hmm.
And then in addition to that, you're going to say, okay, I know I'm not going to be able to successfully sprawl the entire match, just too much energy exerted trying to defend that along with them trying to do it. So in that scenario, somebody's going to get sloppy somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, are you the guy that's going to be able to catch them, mid takedown and, knock them out? Or are you that guy's going to be able to fall into a submission situation to where, let's say he goes for that takedown, you sprawled him a little bit, maybe you somehow reverse that, get him into a, Kimura or, omoplata or something, because there's times where you can just let them just get down there and instantly go for, a triangle choke or whatever else. There's so many advantages there, right? And I kind of wonder if they've discussed that or said, hey, you're probably going to get taken down, right? So let's just figure out not only the defense against it, but what do you do once you're there and how to instantly try to go for a submission attempt. Right. That way it makes that player back off of you, or that fighter, I should say, back off of you a little bit.
Well, shit, we've been playing UFC on Xbox, so that makes sense to make that player back off you.
Mm-hmm.
But, and all of that, what you're saying is true. But I'm curious because one of Edwards' 3 losses happens to be against Usman.
Mm-hmm.
Does that play a part in his psyche going into this fight is what I'm curious.
Yeah.
Are you worried about losing to him again, or you just don't care? You just want to make a statement? Because there's a difference. There's a big difference when you go into a fight with one person and you lose it. This is Liddell and Ortiz. You took a couple of Liddell, and it was up here. You could tell that first fight, y'all was best friends. You took that first L, it was up there. And how do you react? Do you stick to the same game plan that didn't work? Do you alter it a little bit? Or do you come back with a whole new game plan and you finally get one?
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious because, like I said, in a fight, that does weigh on you.
It does. It weighs on you, and I think that if you're somebody who's successful most of the time too, you got to figure out a way to still bring that tenacity and not overlook the individual and be like, oh yeah, I've been here before. I've already knocked this dude out. Because it plays a disadvantage on that end too as well if you get too cocky. So it'll be interesting to see how it comes out, man. I think it'll be for sure a way more exciting fight than we saw the last time they fought. But yeah, I just think that Usman will get that nod, and I just got a weird feeling that it could still be a submission. I don't know why, but we'll see what happens.
Again, I don't doubt that it'll be a submission. What I'm curious about on Edwards' side is how do you get that close? Remember, Usman's 20-1, Edwards is 19-3, so essentially the records are the same. But as two fighters, one being taller than the other, but one having a longer reach. Ironically, this is weird. The shorter person in this fight, which is Usman, has a longer reach than the taller guy. How does this work? I wish we could be the fly on the wall talking to these dudes, because I would like to know, how do you, being so tall, if you're Edwards, if you're the taller guy, how do you go into this fight with a clear game plan of, I can do this, versus I gotta watch for something?
Mm-hmm.
Remember, we talked with Hakeem Austin so long ago. Shout out to Hakeem. We talked to him. He was 6'4", 6'5". How do you fight somebody that tall? And his wingspan is 8 feet. does that not play a role in or a huge part in your game plan? Because when I think about it, if I'm going up against somebody 6'5", 6'6", I got to think about what I got to do to get close.
Mm-hmm.
Because them just doing this, sticking out an arm, I got to avoid that. And this is full contact. So, those 2 extra inches on Usman's reach count for a lot. That jab is going to come a lot quicker than you expected.
It's funny you say that because I feel like what they should do if you're the shorter guy, and let's say you're trying to get in on a guy, it's probably best they look at, some fighters in the past who have had some success in terms of like bullying their way in order to, make that happen. And I know this isn't boxing, but like, Mike Tyson had a way of getting inside on people. Mike Tyson's only 5'9", 5'10", and in the heavyweight division, most of them cats is 6'2" on average.
Exactly.
So he had to get in to figure out a way to bully himself in so he can get some of those knockouts, be more of a body snatcher, whatever he had to do to break a guy down or chop the tree down, as they'll say. And that's essentially what has to happen. Now, difference here is, though, of course, you can use many different things to win. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of wrestling influence or whatever in there, shooting at the right angles, trying to get those single, double leg takedowns, whatever you got to do. And then, of course, you got the advantage of the cage. So now it's a matter of like, okay, well, do I bait this guy to come closer to me? Do I come in and I bully my way in, not even try to swing, just try to like force him to throw the first kick or punch and me take more of a counter approach to get my way in? Because maybe that's what I would do if I was, in his position. I would like, take more of a counter approach and just kind of bully my way in, but not necessarily throw any types of hits yet, see what he does.
Right.
And then from there, kind of work on some counters to get myself in there. Because him trying to go first, him trying to come swinging in and being all crazy, like it only takes one good clip, one kick, something. As soon as you charging in, bam, knock a dude out cold, 10 seconds, like, and you can see it coming. So,
and that's why I'm asking, because you being the taller person between me and you, I got to think about that. If not saying we would really fight, but like in a caged fight scenario, a lot of people don't realize how much taller somebody really is on TV because they're watching it on TV, not in the cage. Like Edwards is 6'2", maybe 6'2 and a half. That's a big advantage. It's a huge advantage. You might not think about that now, but think about, standing next to an athlete that you see on TV looks short compared to his teammates, but when you stand next to him, he's 9 feet tall. And then, like you said, Tyson, 5'9", 5'10" at best, going up against Lennox Lewis, who's 6'2", 6'3", going up against Holyfield, who's 6'2", 6'3". Even Roy Jones was taller than him, or as tall as him.
Yeah.
And that was an exhibition fight. But Mike had to bully his way in against somebody he knows. So imagine what Usman's got to do, being the shorter person. Yeah, my reach is longer, but I'm still short. So I'm wondering, not even for Usman, because this is more of an Edwards question, because Edwards already took the L. So I'm wondering, does Edwards look at the height and look at the reach and come up with a better strategy?
He has to, yeah.
Not just submissions, but like strikes. Do I use more kicks? Do I weaken the leg? Do I weaken, body parts? Do I weaken rib areas? Like, I'm not worried for him. I want it to be a good fight. I just wonder, is this strategy he comes in with this one different from the last fight?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you figure in both camps, you're always in the back of your mind thinking, okay, well, this guy is primarily this. Like, is he a stand-up dude? Does he like the ground? Does he, mix it up a little bit? Is he a brawler? Does he favor wrestling or jiu-jitsu, whatever? or is he a Muay Thai guy and he gonna catch you with them joints or something like that? You know what I'm saying? Like they'll have those things where they have like their set disciplines, so they're gonna always at some point during the fight go back to that, but then they're always gonna try to like create that surprise or bring a guy to a disadvantage, trying something different that they didn't do. And for some guys like that who, let's say, are better at grappling, they might say, this time around, I'm going to put a lot of emphasis into my stand-up because they expect me to shoot for it, So I'm going to take that fight and bring it to him. And then from there, as soon as he gets sloppy or he starts dropping them hands or doing whatever he got to do to, like, try to combat what I'm trying to do to him, then I'll switch back to my other stuff. So it's going to be really hard. I feel like with Edwards, man, he's going to have to do a lot more standing.
Yeah.
Than he may want to in order to even have an advantage or to try to, like, psych Usman out. I feel like if he tries that same crap he was doing before,
it's going to be a done
sooner. Yeah, it'll be sooner than we said.
First round.
Yeah, like you just can't do it. But that's where great fighters become great fighters. They have to do what's uncomfortable to them and work their hardest at that in order to feel like, they can be better at that type of game plan. So, like, prime example, right? If we look back at some of the greats before and we see what they were like at the beginning of their career versus toward the end, right? I would pick a couple of them from different sides. If I had to say from the male side, if I look at, let's say, someone who we said is very tall, like Tim Sylvia, right?
Oh my God.
Sylvia's like 6'8",
giant.
That dude, was known for his standing ability, known for the Muay Thai, the kickboxing, stuff like that. As he progressed as a fighter, he ended up being better at his ground game.
He had
his
to.
jiu-jitsu came into play as well.
He had to because
he had to do it. He didn't like it, but he had to learn it, had to get better at it.
And he also realized him being that tall was a disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
That was Silva's like light bulb.
Yeah.
Because he realized these short dudes, not even the dudes with wrestling backgrounds, the guys he was just fighting got tired of standing. How do you stand up against somebody 6'8" and not take a couple shots that are going to hurt?
Right. Exactly. And then on top of that, his physicality. So being that tall, if you are even, let's say, at a blue belt level of jiu-jitsu at that height, the fact that you can wrap your limbs around in certain positions because you have a longer limb, right? Your triangle choke game is going to be crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so much easier for you to bend your, leg over somebody's back of their head and be pulling it this way, whatever, because you have a long leg. You don't have to try as hard. And that's something that he figured out later in his career. Like, I don't have to try as hard. Yeah, right. It's crazy because they expect me to stand up in the kick all day and do all these things.
And now put your ass in a triangle choke. And
you put in a triangle choke, it's over. Yeah, like your guard, man, his guard alone. Like, I wish he would have known that earlier in his career. It would have lasted longer, but it is what it is, man. And then on the women's side, with Ronda Rousey, because she's known for her judo. She was an Olympian in that, right? But she got super good at the boxing or whatever. Now, it took a toll on her once she got to Holly Holm, but that's a different situation. I mean, Holly's taller. That's just a reach. That's what the reach we're talking about. And on top of that, Holly Holm was a professional boxer.
And she actually incorporated kicks in her game too.
Exactly. And once that happened, that was it. Because that was it. It's a strong advantage, right? And Ronda tried to, take that approach and say, you know what? She expects me to grapple. She expects me to flip her and all of that. I'm going to stand with her. That didn't work so well for her, as we know.
Now, what did you learn?
What did you learn from that, right? What did you learn? Oh, I should probably be a part of the WWE. That's what you learned. So
I zigged when I should have zagged.
Because that fight right there was like, yeah, this is
it's not it. That's not it.
it's time to go. Time to go. You know.
It reminds me of that I think I could beat Mike Tyson video where Will Smith was trying to fight Mike Tyson. And at the end, DJ Jazzy Jeff was like, man, I see what happened in the fight, man. See, what you was doing was bobbing, slipping, and dipping. And what you should have been doing was slipping, dipping, and bobbing. I'm like, ain't none of that shit work.
None of it. Not even a little bit. Nope.
None.
But yeah, man, like that's kind of what it is in this fight. It's to your question, what will Edwards do? It's hard to say, man, because those two examples alone, you got what you're known for, you got what you need to work on. Can you stick with what you need to work on long enough to go back to what you know versus trying to just being like, I'm gonna just switch to the other end altogether? That ain't gonna always work, as we've seen.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see, man. I'm excited for it.
Me
Definitely
too.
gonna follow it.
Me too. All right. Last thing on the subject, on the topics, I want to come back to this because we talked about this last week, but this is too much of an interesting concept for me not to bring it back up. September 3rd, 7:30 p.m. on ABC, Ohio State plays Notre Dame in one of the most underrated rivalries in all of college football.
Mm-hmm.
For those watching at home, I know what you're thinking. Ohio State, Notre Dame is not a rivalry. Yes, it is. Here's why. There are so many stories built up in this game alone that you cannot bypass the history between the two teams.
Mm-hmm.
First off, let's look. The last time before 1995, Ohio State played Notre Dame. Ohio State lost 16-13 in South Bend in what was known as the game of the century. Fast forward 60 years to 1995, Ohio State, Notre Dame play for a home and home, which means Ohio State goes to Notre Dame comes to Ohio State. That's a home and home. Ohio State dog walks Notre Dame in both games. Shout out to Stanley Jackson. He was on the 96 squad. Now, fast forward again, Ohio State doesn't see Notre Dame until 2007. It was a bowl game, Fiesta Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
AJ Hawk is Marion Brady Quinn's sister. Go figure. And on top of that, well, let's go back a little further. 95-96, Lou Holtz is the head coach of Notre Dame. Lou Holtz is pissed off at the media because the media keeps asking about Ohio State.
Mm.
Think about the history Notre Dame has behind them. Newt Rockne, the Galloping Ghost, and all of that. Touchdown Jesus. Just the stigma of going to Rudy. They made movies. Joe Montana, who's not athletic at all, one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of football. And then Notre Dame welcomes Ohio State back into Notre Dame Stadium, gets dog walk. A year later, they come back, and Lou Holtz is still pissed off. Why y'all keep asking? I got a fucking team too, all right? Stop asking me about these motherfuckers. And then they dog walk at Ohio State. Now, fast forward again, like I said, 2007, you see him in the Fiesta Bowl. Ohio State dog walks him again. And then you see him again in 2016. You get dog walked again. Now, here's the storyline coming in this year's game. Former Ohio State Buckeye Marcus Freeman is now the head coach at Notre Dame. How do you miss, not even miss, how do you not see that this is a rivalry? Ohio State has not lost in the last, Ohio State's won 4 straight against Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
All-time series, Ohio State leads 4-2. It's 6 games in the series. Ohio State is ahead by 2 or ahead by 4. How do you not see that this is a rivalry? Keep in mind, Ohio State and Notre Dame would be regional rivals had it not been for that school up north.
True.
Back in the 30s, Notre Dame was looking to join the Big Ten, and Michigan adamantly kept them out, which is why Notre Dame stayed independent for the last 100 years. The reason I'm bringing all of this up is because, one, this is a big top 10 game Not even top 10. This is top 5. Number 2 versus number 5. Number 2, this is a night game for Ohio State. Prime time. We all know the stigma behind Ohio State and night games. So my question to you, Ronnie, is this a trap game for Ohio State?
Ooh, dang it. I would say historically, maybe. That first game, like you said, under the lights just isn't something that normally goes well, or it's played too close.
Yeah.
If they win it, like way too close, and it makes everybody question everything, right? I think the biggest advantage that they have right now is the fact that, your top producing wide receiver was lost for the year for Notre Dame, unfortunately. And then the quarterback situation, they named Buckner as a starting quarterback over their 3-year person at the position. So that's pretty interesting to see, why that was or what happened, how that plays out. And with Freeman, even though he wasn't someone that played under Ryan Day, he did, have that experience with Meyer, and then you figure he also coached with because he was at Cincinnati for a little bit coaching.
Fickle.
Yep, and he also has been a part of that that system where not only Fickle, but he had a chance to reunite with Hazel at Purdue,
right?
Because Hazel was a former coach in Ohio State system. He was the one that took Kent State to the MAC championship, and then got the Purdue job after that. So he reunited with them. So he's been within this Ohio State, system bracket type situation for the last 10 years, actually. Because that draft he was in, what was that, 2009, 2010, something like that?
Yeah.
And he had that year in the NFL and then came back to OSU, was an assistant, grad assistant, jumped around different schools, but every school that he touched had somebody from Ohio State involved. There's a big difference here, right? So him being a former Buckeye, being from Ohio, knowing the way that it goes down at Ohio Stadium, knowing the way it goes down with just the organization in general. And granted, yes, he wasn't a Day guy, but Day still was a product of Meyer, right? And the thing is,
it doesn't even matter. You're still a product of the school.
Yeah, still a product of the school. So the thing is, I think that's the difference here. I think that even with them losing who they lost, there's still an advantage here where he's very familiar with the program, right? Regardless of who's coaching, and him being a former player as well too. So I think that's the biggest advantage that they'll have. It'll be interesting to see, man. I think it will be a lot closer than people think, but I still feel like Ohio State will end up getting this one.
Well, the line, according to this, the line is Ohio State by 16. I don't know how that's going to change between now and maybe September 2nd.
True. Yeah.
But the fact that this is a night game and I am a diehard Buckeyes fan, this makes me worry. Because this is a big ass game against a big ass opponent at night. And it's a familiar opponent. It's not Toledo, sorry. It's not, Arkansas State, or in Michigan's case, it's not Hawaii. This is Notre Dame. Whether you feel like Notre Dame is, worthy of any praise or not is not up for discussion because the evidence and the body of work is there. It's the fact that we've seen how Ohio State looks at night. If they're playing past 3:30, it's generally not good. They either lose or they play the team too close. And it's usually a team they should have been dog walking to begin with. I feel like this is a trap game. And yes, this is if I'm not mistaken, I believe this is a home and home. So they will both be visiting each other within the next 2 years.
Yep. So it's home this this year.
And then, yeah, and the roles are reversed because the last time they had a home and home regular season series, Ohio State went to Notre Dame first, and then Ohio State. So I'm worried that this turns into a shootout, and I'm hoping with the new defensive coordinator that we have that the defense stands up and it doesn't look like the Oregon game from last year.
True. That's what I was going to say, man. I was going to say, hopefully with that new coordinator, the run game, or not run game, the run defense is tightened up because that was the biggest gap last season.
And you saw Oklahoma State's run defense was fantastic last year.
Yeah, and that's the difference, right? I mean, you figure, we're in this era of football where, they are airing it out a little bit more, and we've seen that dynamic change, right? But at the same time, you can't stop the run.
The run game is still important.
Yeah, it's still important. You know what I'm saying? So I think as long as they tighten that up, man, they've, done some shifting around there with that front seven, they'll be just fine this season.
CJ Stroud is still there. So Smith and Jigba is still there. I'm not worried about the offense. It's the defense in, the crunch time.
Yep.
Because that Oregon game was very winnable.
It was.
But like you said, you can't stop the run. And Oregon, with the problem with Oregon is they beat teams that they shouldn't be beaten, which is they shouldn't have beat Ohio State. Not because they couldn't do it, but on paper, Ohio State was the better team.
Yeah.
But they pulled out the win, and then you lose in the fucking Washington. You're losing to fucking UCLA and USC, which is at the moment you're better than.
Yeah.
So my that's my fear. I do consider this a trap game. Do I want it to be a trap game? No. But is it the obvious? Yes. There's too many factors involved for it not to be a trap game. It's a top 5 game. You're at home at night. Historically, you ain't good at night.
True.
Between the hours of 12 and 3:30, you are the man. Anything after 3:30, you pretty on at home. Because on the road, you're great. Anything at home after 3:30, you look like shit.
But I will say this, man. If they win this game,
it's gonna be good.
Can't nobody say nothing after that.
Yeah.
Nobody say, I don't want to hear nobody say nothing. And you know who my team is, and I already told you they're not repeating this year. But I'm telling you, like with OSU, they win this game, man. Can't nobody say nothing going forward. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear nobody saying that they don't deserve to be nowhere, because I've heard that crap for years or whatever, whether it was OSU or my team. And I can tell you for a fact, games like this is what, makes it happen, man.
I want people watching to understand something. Since the BCS era, think about how many times you've seen the same teams not named Alabama in either the BCS circulation of bowl games or the championship game itself. It's been Ohio State. Ohio State won a national championship against then the greatest college football team of all time in Miami. Then they made it back 4 years later against the Florida team that had Tim Tebow, Cam Newton, and Chris Leak. Granted, they got their ass kicked, but they were there.
Yep.
Fast forward to the playoff era. Who's the first team in? Well, who's the first 2 teams in? Alabama, Ohio State. Who did Ohio State beat to get to the national championship? It was Alabama. And then they ended up beating the team they had already beaten back in the Rose Bowl 70 years ago in Oregon.
The team that shouldn't even have been there, man.
Right.
Dang, that team was man.
And outside of Alabama, who has the most appearances in the college football playoff era? Ohio State and Clemson.
Yep.
Show me somebody else that's been more consistent than those 3 teams. You can't.
Nope.
The body of work is there. Ohio State wins this, and they can keep winning because looking at the schedule right now, looking at Ohio State's schedule as it stands right now, 1, 2, 3, 4 games against ranked opponents. Now that could change. Their Big Ten, this is their entire schedule. They have 4 games. 1, 2, 3, 4 games against ranked opponents. 2 of them are division rivals. Granted, like you said, anything can change between the first game and the last game. But Notre Dame plays an independent schedule. 5 of their games are contractually against ACC opponents. Who's to say those ACC opponents won't be ranked by the time they, after this game?
Right. There's that. And then the way that this schedule is structured for OSU, this is very strong.
Very strong.
Very strong. You got Notre Dame.
The heart of their schedule comes in October.
Yeah.
You got Wisconsin at home. You got Michigan State on the road. You got Penn State on the road. And you squeeze Iowa, Rutgers, and Northwestern in there as, because it's the division.
Yeah.
And then in November, well, that was November, but the heart of November, you got Indiana, you got Maryland, and then you host Michigan at home. And after the ass whooping you took last year, for the first time in like 10 years, it's safe to say blood's gonna be drawn.
Yeah. And that's the difference, man. Like this whole season, the way it just look right now, it's like, yeah, they're gonna have some battles, man. This is gonna be one of the harder ones, but it's gonna be worth watching. It's gonna be something they shouldn't have any issue with. Like I said, they lock that run defense in there, they'd be just fine. But seeing these opponents and seeing how Iowa has played over the last few years against Ohio State, seeing how Indiana is a wild card. Who knows what they'll look like? I have no idea. Same thing with freaking Northwestern. You know how they are, man. Be like, we sucked for 5 years and now we're a contender.
Yeah,
we suck again for 6 years. Now we're a contender.
Now we're going to the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, now we're going to this bowl, and now we're in the, and now it's a playoff era. Well, now we're in the playoffs all of a sudden. Like what? Like, come on, man. Then you draft like half the team, and then they're one. All of a sudden, they're going to be, I don't know, 4-8. It just don't make sense, man.
That's
I
LSU.
hate talking about them.
Northwestern is the LSU of the North.
Can't do it right. I can't. I can't do it, man. And then like the level of recruits, like it just bothers me, bro. Like, okay, let's think about this for a second. Greg Newsome II, right? Definitely was a top guy coming out of high school. But what about Northwestern made you be like, I got to go there?
Shit, that's a hell of a question.
Like, I got to go to Northwestern. Like, are you just a smart dude? Because the academic program is amazing.
Top notch.
Like, are you just a smart guy? Because I'm like, okay, cool. You smart and you get to start. Great. Good for you, right? Maybe you got some kind of biology or journalist, something going on in your background I don't know about after you do NFL, right?
That might be the case, though. I mean,
ooh.
You'd be surprised how many football players are actually smart. Correct me if I'm wrong. Myron Rolle is now a doctor.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not trying to be funny when I say this, but I don't know what programs Florida State is known for academically.
Nope, I don't either.
But apparently they're worth something to where Myron Rolle said, fuck football, I'm going to be a doctor.
Exactly. It's just funny to see this kind of stuff, man, because I think in my head, like, why would a guy want to go here? Why would he want to go there? And then the obvious thing would be for us, right? If you take the athletics out, okay, not athletics. If you take the academics out, for us, it's going to be, okay, where can I go that's going to give me A, exposure, and B, that's going to not only give me a scholarship, but also where I could potentially start.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to Northwestern, you're in the Chicago area, so you gonna get seen.
Yeah.
Indiana, not so much. I don't know what Indiana's. You a long way from Naptown.
Right. Like you're not like nearby like the Big Ten headquarters or anything.
Yeah.
Like
Even in Purdue, you a long way from Naptown. You a long way from anything, really.
yeah. Like I don't even know why you would go. Yeah, I can't answer that one. I mean, unless you're just trying to be a Kappa, you know, or something like that, because where it started at. I mean, other than that, I can't really think of anything that would make you want to go to Indiana for football. But like I said, maybe it's that point, you know.
Yeah.
Full ride. I'm gonna start.
Get my ass kicked, but I'll be there.
But I'll be there on TV, you know. Okay, cool. You do you, right? That's where you're gonna go. Cool. Maybe nobody else wanted me. I don't know. But hey,
who knows?
you gotta do what you gotta do, man.
Yeah. All right, Precious, if you would be so nice enough to pull up the those two pictures I put up or I sent to Red Line Banner. All right, first one, got some announcements. Don't forget, next week, next Friday night, Extreme Fight World's holding their first event, Dojo Wars, at the NEO Sports Complex. For those that don't know, this has been in the making for about 2 years. Gonna see a lot of local action, local talent. J Rock's supposed to be in attendance. Dio Salvador, Sebastian LaShawn, Mega Championship Wrestling's heavyweight champion Ashton Day will be there. It's gonna be fun. It's a bar, food, drinks. Come get drunk and watch some wrestling action. Tickets are very, very limited, but if you go now and search the wrestler Daisuke, you know, you get your tickets, you get there. It's gonna be, limited seating. So just hurry up, get your tickets, and get them now. Next, coming up September 3rd is actually what, the 4th? September 4th, the HBCU Classic returns to Canton at the Hall of Fame Stadium and Hall of Fame Village. Our very own Central State University will be going up against Winston-Salem State University, and I'm excited. We haven't had black college football up here before last year in a long time. Is well overdue, and it's a great place to have it at the Hall of Fame. Last year, Tennessee State and Grambling State gave us a hell of a show on and off the field. Halftime shows were fantastic. This is a great experience. Get your tickets now. We hope to be in attendance there this year. Can't ask for a better experience. Thank you, Precious. Also, put the camera on me real quick. While we were in representation at the Capital City Classics martial arts tournament what was it? 2 weeks ago? Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Our friend Christopher Landis came out with a book, Quest for the Dragon Star. Zoom in on that real quick. Quest for the Dragon Star. For those of y'all that don't know, the show WMAC Masters was very pivotal in our childhood. Hakeem Alston, star of Mortal Kombat, Chris Casamassa, who was the OG Scorpion. These were some of the people who have been on our show in the past. They are part of this book. Go on Amazon and get this book right now. It is worth reading. You find out a lot of things behind the scenes that went on. You learn about Pat Johnson. For those of y'all who don't know who Pat Johnson is, go watch The Karate Kid and watch the last tournament, the last fight in the tournament against Johnny Lawrence. Just this book opens your eyes to behind the scenes of how shows really work, even back in 1995 and 97. So go get this book. I highly recommend it. I don't even like reading books, but I've been sitting down. I'm 100 pages in. Ronnie, I still got to send you yours.
Dope.
I ain't forgot. I just got to get to the fucking post office, but I will send you your copy. Again, this book tells you things we didn't see, things you did see, but never really paid attention to. Was reading about, I actually went back and watched one of our episodes with Great Wolf, went through the conversation of the 600-pound ice record and that whole story of him telling how they got it to get him to pull it off. It's hilarious. So go read this book. You'll learn about the people as well as the show.
Facts.
That's it. I don't have much else. I will say next week we will be making a big announcement about something coming up that we got going on in the high school season. So be on the lookout because history will be made in the month of September for high school football in Cleveland. I'm gonna leave it at that. Don't ask me no questions. You wait till next week. Sorry. All right. So for 4th and 15, thank you, Precious. That's Smooth. I'm Mel. Peace.